Here to keep investment portfolios pumping is Adam Bold. He is Chief Investment Officer of the Mutual Fund Store and author of The Bold Truth About Investing. And Judd Pyle, he's a market analyst at Peak Six Investments who's working on his book right now, I have no doubt. Judd, let me start with you if I can. You heard Goldman Sachs, of course. Goldman is very optimistic because they've been getting all this government money, but do you think 1040, I know you look at the S&P, you think the S&P is already overvalued, so you think 1040 is wildly too optimistic, right?
Yeah, you know, I'm looking more from a function of I think 900, David, is about fair, and the reason that I'm
it's trading, by the way, at 946 right now. Go ahead.
Right, exactly. So I'm a little bit of a better seller, but the one thing we have to remember is that the market is moving off of technicals, and the reason that Goldman's coming out with their report the way it is that they just feel like earnings are going to be basically what they did is they took their earnings for the S&P and ratcheted them up a little bit. And so what I'm using this as an opportunity to look at things that don't have a lot of downside, but I feel like if I buy them and we do actually rip back to 1060, I'll get a little bit of upside. So something like Schlumberger or Crown Holdings, we're looking for things that have limited downside. That's always what we're paying attention to.
Well, Adam, as we look at Schlumberger there, isn't it best to do as Judd does, to err on the side of caution in this market?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I mean, David, I think that this market, it was priced back in March, was priced for absolute disaster. And what we're finding out is there are a lot of companies out there that did an exceptionally good job of managing through this. They cut expenses, they lowered prices, they did whatever they had to do to keep things going. And if they can make money in this environment, when the economy gets better, they're going to make tons of money. I think this market could go markedly higher.
Well, if it can, then I'm looking at Kinetics Paradigm Fund. Now, Kinetics has a whole bunch of stuff in it, from oil to Berkshire Hathaway. That's the kind of fund that you like right now, Adam, right?
Yeah, I mean, Kinetics Paradigm, WWNPX, is a fund that invests in large company stocks. They do have exposure to China. They have exposure to, other companies that can grow their earnings even in this kind of environment. And they had a tough year last year. They've bounced back very nicely, and I expect more of the same.
Well, Judd, they don't call Adam bold for nothing. I mean, he's got that bold spirit. I love it.
Well, yeah, and I would say, you know, the thing is that if Berkshire Hathaway is a part of the Kinetics Fund, that's kind of the conservative investing that we're looking at, because look at all the companies that Warren Buffett owns. He's trying to own things that don't have a ton of downside. The other thing that I'd point out, though, is that if you believe that 1060, you've got to pay attention to how Goldman gets to 1060. They're saying that in 2010, we're going to earn $75 on the S&P, and then they're applying like a 15 to 16 times multiple for it. And I think that might be where they're a little bit aggressive and where the bull case could run out. I'm not sure people are going to pay that much for earnings when there's this much downside.
Right. And they did make a lot of mistakes in calling oil. Of course, so have a lot of people. Adam, I want to get to bonds because you've got one particular bond fund. Tell us about it.
Yeah, it's the Loomis Sayles Bond Fund, LSBRX. It's run by Dan Fuss, and he can really, this is kind of a go-anywhere type of bond fund. He can buy, right now he's got some high yield, he's got some international bonds, as well as high-grade corporates, et cetera. And once again, terrible year last year, but the fund's up 17% plus this year. And he's a guy who has shown that he can be in the right part of the bond market at the right time and avoid the disasters at the wrong time. I like that fund a lot.
Guys, I like having you on a lot as well. We get two very different perspectives on things. Adam Bold, Judd Pyle, great to see you both. Thank you very much.
Thanks, David.